Hey butterflies, and welcome back to Evolving Butterfly Guidance with me, Moe Nicole. Here we are all about evolving out loud in our life, our money, and our purpose through the energy of our ancestors. I want to thank you for your likes, comments, shares, and subscribes here on the channel because it's always appreciated. And a major shout out to all the channel members as well as the members over on my website. Thank you for your continuous support. I felt so good because one of the members had responded back to the email that I sent out. And I'm like, no one has ever responded to the email. So, like they usually just go in, click or whatever. And so I don't know why that stood out to me. And I'm just like, oh, thank you. Shout out, Latoya. But okay, so we are getting into, this is a 10-10 message, okay? Now, at first I wasn't gonna do the 10-10, but I saw it earlier today and I was just like, I was just getting home, because I had stayed at a friend's house due to the power situation of what was happening. And so I was just getting home and I knew I had to like clean out fridge, freezer, all that because all my food and stuff went bad because the power also went out when I was out of the country, you know what I'm saying? And so all of that was in there. And as soon as I got back, the power went out again from another storm. And so I just had to get all that cleared off, right? And so now I'm about to, okay, I guess it means I've been recording for an hour because that's when my diffuser cut off. But so this energy, so I wasn't gonna do it until I had jumped on Divine Conversations channel, okay? In which I'm grateful to have found his channel because it came at a time when I was speaking out to the universe. I said, universe, I want more readers and things around me who follow sidereal Vedic astrology because that's what I follow. And I was just getting tired of hearing all the tropical stuff, right? Because for me, Vedic works for me. I love it. And so I've been wanting to connect with more now since I've been, following Vedic for almost a year. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready to, move into like work, being around other people. And so I was on his live and I was just listening in the background and he had brought up my name in the video and I was like, oh, I'm here, just listening to where I was cleaning. And then he went and shared that it was 10-10 on, his recording thing. And I'm like, we are connected, okay? And so make sure y'all check out his channel. If not, he is a Vedic astrologer. And so he was talking about the sense of, the balancing of, your shadow side and your light side in order to find that full balance. And so this is the 10-10 butterfly effect message in which we know 10 is a number of completion of like karmic cycles, okay? And so this is giving a sense of you completing karmic cycles by connecting completely with that karmic side and commanding control over it. A lot of people don't command their dark side and they allow it to run rapid because they don't know how to control it. And then the people also, it takes over them when they try to run from it. Don't run from that dark. Don't run from the dark. You got to learn how to control it, okay? Because there is no real light without first addressing our dark energy, okay? And so I was just like, oh, I'm in good company. Like I was able to manifest another Vedic astrologer, with good energy. And so that felt good to just sit and listen in on his video and his message. And it was hitting, baby, okay? It was hitting. And so it also gives a sense of, it makes me think of a member only video that I just posted to my members on the website, the sense of a divine feminine message of iron sharpens iron, okay? And you want to make sure that you are in the midst of company and people who are also sharpening you, okay? It should not be a one-sided thing where one person is sharpening the other and da-da-da. It needs to be a mutual type of thing where you are both sharpening each other in some form of way and allowing each other to prosper and be into their space, right? A lot of people wouldn't have gave me the prompts of something from my channel or whatever. They'll take it as if it's just, it's like, dang. And it's good for us to give props to other people where we get that. It makes me think of the 1, 2, 3, 4 message I just did, right? Because every time I speak on and say things, I'm going to say if I got it from somebody else, right? Just like when I was saying, like with the divine feminine, it wasn't until like one day C and I was having a conversation and she would say, divine feminine can be a dark energy too. And then I started diving into it and learning more about it. And I'm like, Okay, I was seeing it as just being a karmic, but it's still karmic, but it's still divine at the same time. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to learn how to give people their flowers, especially when we're learning from them, and iron sharpens iron. And this is giving a space of you are coming into alignment with more people who sharpens you, especially if you are in spaces where you were doing the sharpening. You're always the motivator. You're always, you know what I'm saying, encouraging. And the only time they help sharpen you was when you in your dark energy too. You get what I'm saying? And we deserve to be around and having people around us who are growing and elevating as well, because eventually sometimes friendships go this way because y'all are no longer aligned. Y'all are no longer growing. And there's nothing wrong with ending. Baby, and not new beginnings at the bottom. There's nothing wrong with ending. That's why a lot of us stay attached to situations and people past the due date, or the expiration date. Due date is the birth. Some people like to attach to some people too and be afraid to step out into their own energy. Allow yourself to be birthed into your own energy to create what you're supposed to be creating. Because if not, sometimes the divine will do things to separate you on purpose for you to do it. You feel me? We have boundaries as I split the deck. I think I'm going to keep that out because I do think this is an energy of knowing what type of boundaries are required. Yeah, boundaries, and then career. So with your work or whatever you do, make sure you have the proper boundaries in place to where there's not people who's pulling more on your energy than what's being given. You get what I'm saying? It has to be a give and take. Which is why, you know, the people would be like, oh, readers shouldn't. Y'all get all these free readings on YouTube, and now you want them to give you personal readings and shit for free too? Do you not sound how karmic and negative that is? If you don't pay that person for their time? Or the people who want to continuously eat your ear off with certain things, if you don't put yourself in alignment and respect the energy, you ain't gonna walk into one of these restaurants and be like, I need a steak because you shouldn't be charging people to eat because we all need food to survive. Okay, go out and grow your own damn cow. Go out and build your own farm and do all that, and then you can do, you get what I'm saying? You need to have some boundaries with whatever it is that you're doing in your work. Oh, a bird, a cardinal. Oh, she's so pretty. She just came and she's on our butterfly garden. So those of y'all who've been here for, well, my members, because we made this one with the members, we planted seeds with the Taurus new moon. And the flower plants are, oh my gosh, they're growing so much. They're growing so beautifully. And so she's sitting on it right now looking at me. And then the other one is on the other butterfly plant. And then the third one just came. And he's eating the seeds that I have out for him. But you know what's interesting? As soon as he started eating, the other two flew off. That's a message. Knowing your boundaries, knowing when you need to separate when something is just coming to eat. Okay, we're gonna say that for the ancestor message. But this is giving boundaries in career and in your work. So even at your job, watch out for people who's trying to feed on your energy, who wants you to do all the work and they ain't doing shit, who want you to give or show or be in certain ways, right? And it's like, wait, this ain't feeling too mutual at this point, okay? And a lot of that is because, yeah, Three of Swords at the bottom of the deck is, it's a lack energy. And when you have people around you who are operating in a lack energy and you have them super close to you, that starts rubbing off on you. So, for example, I fell victim to that. Being around coworkers who are always complaining, who are always looking at what they didn't have, who was always talking about everybody else. Surround yourself with the people who are continuously elevating. Surround yourself with the people who are going to the professional developments. Surround yourself with the people who are going to the spiritual retreats. Surround yourself with the people who are working on themselves. Because the people who are doing those things, those are the ones who are going to elevate with you. You feel me? And in your job, that's what you need to be around. You have the Princess of Cups coming out. The Fool card. Some of y'all need to change jobs, and that's only if you feel it. So let me remind y'all, these messages, take what resonate and leave what does not. These messages are for affirmation and confirmation, not for speculation and creation. If it doesn't automatically come to you like, oh, that's my message, it ain't yours. Okay? It ain't yours. But this Princess of Cups and the Fool card and the Wheel of Fortune, baby, and the so as soon as you put your boundaries up, right, in your career, your work life, and you start focusing on yourself, the Princess of Cups is like the scribe of aunts. Well, the Page of Cups, okay? Page of Cups energy is a very meditative energy. So for example, in my spiritual work, like I've always, for the past, it's been like 3 to 4 years now, I go on a spiritual retreat, a solo spiritual retreat every year. Sometimes 2 times. Last year I had 2. One of them was in the forest of Belize. Actually, it was 3. No, my Honduras wasn't really spiritual retreat. That was relaxation. But when I was in Belize, that was in the middle of the jungle. I love going to the jungle when it comes to my spiritual retreats. It's something about me being in the middle of a rainforest. And so it was Belize, and then my trip to Egypt, Kemet. That was my second one. I had 2 last year. Every year I like to go on different spiritual retreats to help keep myself to where it's been, right? And this is giving a sense of, I've realized I can't be around people too closely who don't pay that same type of energy to themselves, who don't invest that type of energy into themselves. Because if not, it rubs off onto me. I'm a very sensitive energy, and I know that about myself. I'm a human design reflector. I can attract energy so easily. So it's important for me to know how and what I need to be around. And so I get recharged in nature. I love plants and flowers and stuff. Okay? And so this is just giving this energy of, you need to make sure that you are in alignment, like emotionally, spiritually, with whoever you're connecting with. And if not, this Fool card, it's time to start a new journey, a new process. Or maybe you need to start incorporating some meditative practices into your life to help you create more boundaries. Because then that brings in a Wheel of Fortune. That's Jupiter energy. This full moon next week is in Sagittarius. And so with this Sagittarius full moon, that is the sense of spirituality. You know, it rules the 9th house of spirituality, religion, connection to a higher power energy, Jupiter energy. Okay. Then we got Temperance coming out, more Sagittarius. So it's speaking heavily on nurturing your spiritual self at this time. And as you nourish your spiritual self and release the things that don't align with your spiritual self anymore, you find this Wheel of Fortune energy coming to you. And that comes from you having strong spiritual boundaries. When them boundaries is up together, ain't nothing coming past. Because you didn't bait it to not. So for example, okay, I'm going to give y'all a little testimony. So part of my spiritual retreat this year was working on fear of unknown things. So for some reason, I used to be very afraid, like snakes, lizards, all of that, right? So it just so happened I had lizards in my cabin, okay? And so when I was in the spiritual aspect during the day, I saw this lizard, and I started seeing this lizard as being, they're allowed to roam the night, the dark, the unknown. That's really the masculine. Spirit revealed to me that the moon is masculine and the sun is feminine. I'm gonna put a full video out on that one day. But they rule that dark, the fear, the things that we don't really see. That's where the anxiety and things come from, right? So I remember I was sitting there, and this time I was just looking at it. It was outside my door. And I actually have a video on my phone of, I think I was recording it. And I was looking at it, and I said, I'm not afraid of you. You are not allowed to come into this cabin. I forbid you to enter into this cabin. Because the first night, baby, they took it over. Him and his little cousin, they took it over, and I was inside my canopy bed and all that. Like, I ain't going out, not with the lizards, okay? After that, though, when I tell you that lizard didn't come in, that lizard stood outside that door for 3 hours. It never went inside. Every time I would come back and check, it was still standing there because it wanted to see if I would lift that boundary and let them in and say you could come in. And so that's one thing you need to know too. Even when you put boundaries up, some of them gonna still wait in the corner to see if you gonna weaken them boundaries. If you're gonna be like, oh, it's okay, you can come back. You can come back in. I forgive you now. No. When you forbid something for entering into your space, you need to stand on that. What Glorilla say? May that stand on that. Now his ass can't stand me now, okay? When you say and do something, you gotta stand on it. And that's what this boundary is, and that's where your magic lies. How attached are you to those boundaries? Do you believe in those boundaries? Don't go back. Because all it's going to do is interrupt your flow. You got Ace of Swords under here. When you say something, say what you mean. And that's how you attract more people who are on the same frequency as you. A lot of us don't do that because we accept little things that we know ain't aligned with us. But we want to have a friend. We want to have somebody to connect to. We want to get out of that desperate energy. You shouldn't have to feel like you need to have a friend. They're good to have when they're authentic. Baby, not the Seven of Swords at the bottom of the deck, baby. Not at the bottom of the deck. Because when we desperate, that's when we start attracting energies that they sense it. And we need to forbid the lizards. Even though the lizards do come and they kill the flies and the stuff, and they ain't gonna mess with us. But I'm using this as just an example, okay? As an example, I know the role that lizards play in society, okay? Even snakes. But that allowed me the next day to be able to just roam through the absolute forest without a fear that I was going to see a snake. Because Spirit let me know we have boundaries. As long as I don't go down to where they at and where they roam at, they ain't going to come up here on my pathway and fuck with me. But when I go off my path, okay, with this Fool card, if I choose to go off my path, and you know what I see is interesting? With this Temperance and with the Fool card, there's part land and part water. Balance into a journey. Sometimes it's full energy. You got to go into an unknown path, baby. Sometimes you do. But once you learn and see some things, you better adjust accordingly. You better adjust accordingly. You ain't got to explain yourself to nobody. Oh, I felt that. It's a butterfly effect. Effect. It's a butterfly effect. A effect. Time to change some energy. Change some energy. Time to check your energy. Check your energy. Speaking of the retreats, we are doing our first Divine Feminine Butterfly Garden spiritual retreat next year. My members are going to have dibs on the information and deposits or whatever. So if you are not already a member and you've been thinking about it, what you waiting on? What you waiting for? What you waiting for? What you waiting for? What you waiting for? Okay. We growing back there, baby. Okay. And I have a lot of different membership tiers and programs. So not everyone is getting the same experience, because you know I have a lot of different membership programs and stuff, because not everybody wants the same thing, okay? But feel free to check them out. Where my butterfly? Now that I put the butterfly effect back, maybe that's what it is. You got to put something back on the shelf, baby. Put something back on the shelf. You realize it wasn't what you want, go return it back to the store, okay? Only thing you can't return back is panties and bras. That's nasty, okay? Throw that shit away. So that may be a toxic ex or relationship. Toss them both back to the streets, to the dumpster, okay? Don't get them to somebody else. So now you go get them, baby, put it in the garbage. Put that shit in the garbage. All right, we have the 444, the energy check. How are you feeling right now? What is the energy around you? Are you in alignment with your purpose? This is a reminder to reassess your plan to make sure everything is still in alignment. You got this, Pooh. And that's why I go on spiritual retreats. To come back to the middle. NDRE has a song called Back to the Middle. Something about, you know, when someone first, you know, she had an overactive throat chakra. She was hard. That was me. Just thinking about the karma, right? You got to find balance to come to the middle. If you haven't listened to the 222 reading, listen to it, okay? But I love y'all. And it's always be real, always be true. Don't be afraid to do what you want to do. And that's a period. Period. Period, 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 period. Period. And as always, butterflies, continue to bloom.